Well, good morning. This is your Tuesday morning Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. This group gets together and shares information, knowledge, a little bit of humor, a little bit of fun, a little bit of teasing, which we were just doing before I hit the broadcast button. It's amazing to me how we've all gotten to know each other by just simply doing these Tuesday morning hangouts. So, and I find it very gratifying that we've had such fun and learned to get to know each other. So this morning, I'll just kind of skip the principles. I do that every now and again, but we have quite a big topic to speak about this morning, so I think I'll skip that and just go right into our introductions. So Anna, you're on my left at the end, so away you go.
Away I go. My name is Anna Fernandez, and I'm currently in Mazatlan. I spend the winters down in Mazatlan. I have a business, medevacana.com, where I promote travel protection plans for snowbirds. And I'm also officially a WordPress website builder. Not professional, but getting there. I've done 5 sites so far, so learning each time.
Are you doing them for other people?
Yes.
Oh, right on. Cool. Mm-hmm. Well, nice to have you back. It's been a while since we've seen you, Anna.
Yes, I've been busy.
Yeah. Busy is good. Always my stock phrase, busy is good. Mm-hmm. So, Carlo, how about you?
I'm Carlos Savio in Las Vegas. I'm a part-time digital marketer and part-time commercial real estate analyst, whereas we get funding for commercial projects in the Americas.
Right on. Perfect. So welcome. Nice to have you here as usual.
Oh, and as an aside, for those that might be listening, the Americas go from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, and not just in the United States.
Yes, yes. That's what I took from your term. Although I think we all tend to think on much broader terms because we're in this little group. We're spread all over the place, so that's a wonderful thing that helps us become much broader in our thinking. So for sure. Craig, you're next. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Craig, and I am I work with local businesses, helping them get online and get customers in their door, and help them promote themselves online. A lot of brick and mortars just don't have the chops for their online stuff, and often they don't even want to deal with it, but it can be a very lucrative way for them to increase their business.
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
And I'm way over here in outside Rochester, New York.
I'm so glad that you were able to make it this morning.
Thank you.
I'm a little bit preoccupied because I was trying to make sure that this system is set up so that everybody's face shows up when they speak. So Jay, you're next in line. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. My name is Jay, and my company is Affiliate Resources Incorporated, and I help people get started in the world of online marketing. And there is there's a button on this Hangout, or an icon on this Hangout, that I am absolutely dying to push. If I hover over it, it says broadcast 3D audience. Like, how? That is very enticing. And it's an eye icon, and it's located on the right side. It's just, I am trying so hard not to touch that hot stove.
Oh yeah.
I'm not seeing what you're saying. It's on the right side, you say.
Yeah, it's
the picture.
Yeah, it's just to the right of the pictures. So at any rate, I'll resist, and maybe after the broadcast, I'll go ahead and push it and see what happens. So it's like push and then plug your ears, right, to see what happens.
Plug your nose and jump in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, is that only child mentality? Is I gotta push that button.
Now I have to say I've been really enjoying those emails that I'm getting from your company, and I've been every time I get one, I take another action to see what will be the result. So
awesome. Yeah, I from the sales perspective, we get notified every time a client opens an email. And it goes,
no.
Yeah, and it pipelines into our CRM, and then it determines whether the prospect is a hot lead or not. So it's really good for our sales teams so that they can follow up with people and say, oh, I see that you opened up the last email and you're interested in this, right? Mm-hmm. So it really ties into their own interest, and it's able to make the close a lot easier.
Right. Perfect. It's a great tool.
Thank you.
I really like it. I really like it.
Thank you.
We're gonna focus on that tool at some point here. Here. So okay. So Nathan, how about you? You've been missing for a little while. You told me via a text somewhere along the way that you've had some computer problems.
It wasn't actually a computer problem. My computer's fine. What happened is somebody didn't pay the internet bill, so I got cut off for an entire day.
Oh, good.
So that's what happened. Anyway, everybody knows me, but what the hell? My name is Nathan. I'm like Anna. I'm in Mexico. Up until about 3 weeks ago, I was in Ensenada, and I just took on a house hit from some friends of mine. So I'm up in a place called Baja Mar, and yeah, so I'm just in the. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by these pop-ups from Blab announcing shows. Anyway, my main gig has been freelance writing, technical writing. Still doing some of that in the transition to what I really want to be doing, which is a project called End All Wars by Ending the War Within. And I've been talking with different celebrities about how to create a real presence for myself online. It's not something I've spoken about in our group before, but at some point I'm going to have to talk more about it. Right now I'm in the middle of a 30-day challenge, 30 shows in 30 days. And that was given to me by a radio show host by the name of Tim Gillette. So that's what I'm on to right now.
It must be the popular item, because I'm doing a 30-day challenge under Roland's group.
I know about Roland, yes. Yes, I know about Roland's 30-day challenge, yes. Yeah. Not involved in that. Mine's enough. By the way, Roland, thank you for the message yesterday regarding an interview. For those of you here who don't know, one of my projects on the side is something called the Legends of Online Marketing. And I've been interviewing some of the top marketers in the online marketing space. And one of the more recent interviews I did was with Michael Fortin, who was the guy who wrote the first $1 million sales letter online, meaning that when he wrote that sales letter and it went live, they sold over $1 million worth of product in one day. So that interview is about that and a whole bunch of other copywriting stuff. So those of you who want more information, I can post a link here and you can watch the interview.
It's also, you posted that in the Being Your Own CEO community.
Oh, did I? Okay,
yes. Good. Yeah,
oh,
that's where it is. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lola.
Yeah. Today you're going to notice some very strange things here, because it seems to be bouncing around just because I use the screen share, and I don't know, haven't figured out which button to push to make it stop doing that. So
push the 3D one.
Yeah, it's supposed to. Now, isn't that strange? I can't figure it out. I have a feeling that I probably should hit an F5, but that would create a problem for us. So I think we'll just carry on here. So just to finish off our introductions, I do work style, lifestyle coaching for solo entrepreneurs who need to find some direction and stay motivated and build systems. And I'm currently working on something that is an outgrowth of our conversation we had last week, actually, on qualifying prospects. And I've decided that I'm going to post something new on my website called the Portable Business Coach, where people will be able to go in and do a self-evaluation in terms of what's going on in their own business, and then whether they need to go further and seek some help. So that's what I'm working on this week. So
that's I think that's really cool.
Well, we'll see. Well, I don't know if it'll work, and the only way to find out is to try it, is my philosophy. So this morning we were going to speak about techniques and costs of lead generation, and I was going to share with you something that, oh my goodness, this is really bad, isn't it? It's bouncing back and forth between me and Carla. Let's see if the screen share will make any difference in that.
I'm not seeing it bounce at all.
No, none of us are.
Oh, you're not? Oh, thank you for telling me that, because it's very distracting, and I know it would be for anybody out there.
If you mute the mic, that will help too.
Well, I don't want to mute the mic when I'm...
not yours, the people that aren't speaking.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know, but it's fine on my end. There's no problem at all with what you're talking about. So it seems it's an issue with your system for whatever reason.
It probably means that I should be doing an F5, but I'm going to try this screen share. So the screen share that I put together was as a result of Carlos saying, let's have sort of a short list or a list of what we're going to talk about. So I started playing in Evernote and discovered that you can do a presentation in Evernote, which I didn't know. Thank you, Carla, for pushing for that. So I thought I would share this Evernote with you, and we can just kind of walk our way through this. And as I'm walking through it, we'll certainly probably need to stop a few times and talk about it. So I'm going to do a screen share now and see what happens.
Looks good. We can see it okay.
Yeah. So this is for anybody who wants to know. This is an Evernote presentation, and you can see how clean it looks. There's none of the peripheral stuff, which is very nice. So as I started to think about techniques of lead generation, I did a bunch of research. Always do that. I go online and see what's there. And I came to notice that there are a lot of offline things that have been around for a long, long time. So I made a list of them. So you can see that there's print advertising and direct mail and radio, TV, trade shows, etc., speaking gigs, and infomercials, and networking, and referral organizations. They were really popular here in Victoria for quite a while. They seem to have kind of died out. I haven't heard much about BNIs, for example, for quite a while. So I don't know if they're still there or not.
What does BNI stand for?
Business Networking International, I think it is. BNI.
Yeah, I think so too. I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah. And they were little organizations where they came together. There was only one person per occupation or type of business. And then they got together on a weekly basis, and they were obliged to make referrals. So it was kind of a neat idea, although I noticed that a number of people found it was heavy duty eventually. And word of mouth. And in all my research on where the best and most effective conversions happen, etc., word of mouth was by far the top one. So, so basically, as you can see, I tried to I looked at a number of things that are comparable or similar online. So for print advertising, well, at one time we used to do a lot of banner ads. You don't see many banner ads anymore. I don't know if any of you have noticed any, but that they were quite popular for a while.
I think it's kind of changed to something called retargeting, which I'll speak about later.
Yeah, and I see a fair number of banner ads. It just depends on which site, but things about them have gotten a little bit weird too. Like some of the sites have so many ads on them that they actually interfere with the content.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And sometimes when you see a site like that, it kind of makes you think that it's an old site that hasn't had a whole lot of attention.
And that's why Google is pushing the AMP, because they're trying to run a balance, their pocketbook and the loading times of a website.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the next one, email, is very comparable to the old direct mail. Hangouts and blabs I correlated to radio and TV advertising and programming. Online conferences I correlated with trade shows, and there certainly are a number of online conferences. And every bit as expensive as to go to a trade show in person. Certainly, in-person trade shows are pretty expensive, table rentals and all the rest that goes with it. So, speaking gigs I saw as webinars as being sort of a comparable online. Blogs and newsletters, pretty much similar to infomercials in magazines. Social media and networking, and I kind of I realized this one I was stretching it a little bit, because the in-person networking means that you go every month or every week, and everybody's interacting and listening to other presentations and so forth. And so maybe networking is a little bit like hangouts and blabs. So, but social media, I mean, it depends on which ones we're talking about. So
I see the correlation between the two.
Yeah, I do too.
It's social.
But I felt like it was a little bit of a stretch there. So professional listings, referral, I see that as being very similar. Like there's a number of sites where you can go and find a coach. If you were looking for a coach, you can go and find a coach. I think there's a comparable one for facilitators and so forth. And recently, Nathan, I don't know if you want to say something about this, but this thing called LinkedIn Opportunity seemed to be, that it was something I received from you, and I went in, and it seems to be a place where people go and say if they are needing something. That's the way it's brought forward. Yet my experience of it was it's more people promoting their stuff and asking you directly, do you need this stuff? I actually find it quite what's the word I want? Interfering. It's just too much. It's not all of the responses I got were from people marketing, not asking.
That's an interesting point. I have to admit, I tried it. I signed up for the first level, and I have to admit I'm not impressed with it at all. And I'm not going to use it again going forward. I get a lot of emails from people who are on Opportunity, but what I discovered is that like they give you an option to mass email all these people who say that they want somebody, and what I discovered is that the response rate was absolutely abysmal, and it really wasn't worth the trouble. So even though I've signed up, I'm going to downgrade and just not use it anymore. One of the things that I've been finding, and perhaps the rest of you on here might agree with me, is that there's an awful lot of trial and error in terms of finding different marketing methods that work. And last night I was on I'd been invited to a webinar to do with Alex Mendosian and Steve Ulsher. And that turned out to be, as far as I was concerned, solid gold. It was really, really good. And not only did the webinar contain really useful content and very valuable information, it was like there were certain questions that I had about marketing that were answered for me last night without me even actually asking the question. Alex Mendosian did a really great job of answering those questions, and I'm going to watch the webinar again. But one of the things I've done is I've put in the links to the webinar, as well as this book that they give everybody, which is a download for finding really influential bloggers and Twitter users and so on online, and they call it push button influence. Yeah. And there's a certain way to interact with these people, and I've been doing that in some ways already because I've met a few celebrities online, and one of them I'm on an inner circle with him, and I just need to do more of that. But basically the idea behind the push button marketing is that when you get involved with these people and you become a part of their community with commenting and stuff like that, over time, if you ask them for something or you offer them something, then they can really, really help you launch your business in a very positive way. They can really help you move forward far faster than you could on your own. So what I was involved in last night was extremely valuable to me. It's exactly.
So I will, when we're done with this screen share, we'll bring that link up or that unified chat up onto the screen so other people can see it.
Sure.
So so I found that LinkedIn Opportunity thing. The concept really seemed to work, but what I saw was people misusing it. So
I don't know if necessarily they were misusing it. It's set up in a particular way, and you can't really deviate from their structure.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I really don't like it. Fortunately, I only spent $5 on it, so it's not the end of the world. But I'm going to downgrade. It's not worth it, in my opinion.
Okay, so now we're down to this most important thing, the word of mouth thing, and certainly we're seeing a lot on Google Plus and in Google about reviews, the importance of reviews, and I guess that's the online version of word of mouth. And I've been spending a bit of time in and around reviews and how those happen, and in the sort of Google local situation, and there is a way to encourage people to leave you a review, and so I think there's going to be a lot more focus on reviews as time goes on. So now there were a few other pieces here that I didn't. There is a correlation. For example, website freebies. I guess that's from the perspective of ourselves. Like if we offer something free that's desirable on our website and have a call to action that goes there, that allows us to build our own lists and then to be able to sort of market to people. And then Carlo suggested adding landing pages, which goes along with that. And then there's the pay-per-click, the advertising piece, which is they all work a little bit different from any kind of advertising that I know of on in the real the physical world. So we've got pay-per-click and Google AdWords and Facebook targeted adverts. And I left some space for other in case there were other suggestions that some of you might have. And by the way, good morning, Paul. We're working our way through just comparing how in times gone by, and still at the present time, there are lots of lead generation things that we do offline, but and there are some correlations that go with online. So does anybody think I missed anything in this list?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the online element, I got a bit of an echo. In terms of the online element, I was mentioning retargeting, and retargeting is essentially when someone's already visited your site, but they didn't end up doing your call to action. So fill in the form, buy your product, call you, whatever. So what happens is it's similar to Google Analytics, where you put a snippet of code on your site, and what happens is then you let's say you do a retargeting campaign with Facebook. So the next time that they visit Facebook, after they visited your site, they might see a little ad on the right-hand side of your brand, of your logo. And it could say, hey, we miss you, come on back, or something like that. Something that's the dangling carrot that's enticing enough to bring them back. Okay, so retargeting is actually very similar to radio. Whereas radio, they always say, well, you gotta advertise for a good month if you want to get, or a good couple of months if you want to get a good ROI. If you want to get a good return on your investment, because they need to have that ad ingrained in their brain. So whereas retargeting is similar, whereas they've seen your site, they've seen your brand, but they didn't take action, so they go off and do other things, and they eventually see these kind of subliminal type of things, these little ads, like, oh yeah, I remember that company, and then they click on it and they go back.
That's a really valuable piece, and I can already see an application in my own situation.
There are huge benefits to that, absolutely, and it's probably one of the more cost-effective ways of doing ads, because it's going to lower your cost per sale, and we can get into the metrics between determining what it costs to get a sale. It's going to lower your cost down because the people who click your ad are far more likely to engage with whatever it is you're showing, because they're already lukewarm leads, because they've already visited your site. These are the people that only have visited your site already. So at which point you can get some sort of dangling carrot to entice them to fill in a form or get a free report or a white paper or buy or call or something like that. And also the cool thing with Facebook is the demographics. You can really narrow down the demographics, saying, you know, you only want, you know, women between the ages of, you know, 30 to 45 who are married to see this ad, you know, on divorce, you know, so, you know, just total shot in the dark there in terms of a demographic, and that are living in a certain area. So that really scales it down, and the more scaled down your demographic, the less cost is involved.
That is such an interesting concept, Jay. This whole thing about narrowing things down. So I find so many solopreneurs are so reluctant to do that. They think that they're turning their back on too many people, and that's one of the things that's really hard to convince people, that you're more successful the more you're able to narrow down your target. I think that is
exactly.
So important.
Exactly. I did just a quick thing. I recently did a Facebook ad test promoting Wealthy Affiliate, and it was actually huge. The ad was only shown here in Victoria. It was only shown to women between the ages of I forget what it was, 25 and 40. Mm-hmm. And so that really narrowed down the demographic, and the ad was actually a picture of me with, you know, with whatever the copy was. But so I spent a couple $100 on it, got some leads and whatnot. It was a very successful campaign, but it was funny because I would be, you know, doing my thing here in the city and going around, and I get these, I swear I get these people that would just kind of go like, do this double take, right? Because the ad was me. It was like me standing there like this, and in fact, one of my kids' teachers sent me an email saying, "Is that you?" with the screenshot from her camera phone, saying, "Is that you?" It's like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, and my boy said that to the teacher, says, "Yeah, that's my dad. He's famous. He earned a couple $100 and now he's really famous." So it was really funny, but it just showed the effectiveness of the ad, right? It was really effective. So
now, Jay, what I know about Google Ads and Facebook targeted adverts, you could fill a thimble with. I know that with Google AdWords, you're into sort of a bidding thing against certain keywords. So that is, and depending on the popularity, the more popular a certain keyword, the more that's going to cost you.
That is correct. Yeah. You can, to a certain extent, set up demographics within Google AdWords to only show, like the ad will only be shown to people who live in a certain area.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the targeting is solely based on keywords. Now, the more what we call long tail the keyword is, meaning the more words within the phrase, you know, like how to get started as a business coach. Mm-hmm. That would probably be a lower cost versus DUI lawyer Seattle. You know, would have a higher cost because it's far more popular. Mm-hmm. So you know, those are the metrics of the core metrics of the cost of a keyword. Whereas Facebook, the metrics are based on not a keyword, but on your demographics that you initially set up. One of the, a lot of people are apprehensive about or scared about all the information that Facebook has on you, but one of the reasons why they have that information is so that they can show relevant ads. So for people like us who want to spend money doing ads in Facebook, that we can really narrow down the ad in terms of who we target. Mm-hmm. So it's fantastic. It's and I absolutely love it. Another in terms of ads, another one is YouTube ads. You can set up a retargeting for YouTube ads as well. So there's so many different facets in terms of spending money for ads. When it comes to online advertising, I think for entrepreneurs, for solopreneurs, I think Facebook ads is probably the way to go because it's the lowest barrier of entry, and it's the most affordable.
And so, how is the pricing structure?
Well,
does it depend on how narrow it is or how wide?
Yes. It's essentially set on how many details that you give in terms of who gets to see the ad. Okay. Age, gender, interest, geographic location.
Yeah.
People who have liked this page or that page. Average household income based on census reports. You can get as detailed as that.
Wow.
So yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And then tying that into those other ones that you're talking about, right? Like the lead acquisition through email marketing, and tying both of those in. Webinars, tying that in. So hey, I've got a webinar going on next 2 days. Sign up to learn how to do this and whatnot. So merging the two are really, really effective, right? And it really also does get a good sense of your audience. Which you should have information, you should have knowledge about before. And I think before you spend any money on ads and Facebook ads, is take a look inside your Google Analytics, assuming you have it set up for your websites, and learn about your audience. Learn what pages they're looking at the most. At which point, then you can then determine which is the one that will most likely convert.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that it's really, really interesting. It's really, really important for you to have a following, and on any platform. Before you start doing any kind of crowdsourcing or finding funds or finding clients that want to sign up for your work or whatever, you've got to have a really good network already established.
Yeah, that's what I use my Google Circles for. Yeah, absolutely. They're wonderful testers for me. So they're a great group of people that I've got a small group of about like 400 people or something like that, and really great group to test things to bounce ideas off of and stuff. So.
And now, has anybody here used any of those sort of lead lists that you used to be able to buy? Has anybody had any experience with any of those?
Yeah, I think that's an antiquated thing.
You think so?
Days. Yeah, absolutely. Like where you buy lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very antiquated way of lead acquisition. You can spend a far less amount of money with retargeted ads or Facebook ads or AdWords Express, and get far better results, because purchased leads, you don't know where the leads came from, you don't know how they sourced the leads, where did they buy them from, so it's very similar to PLR articles, where did the article come from, if you bought an article, it's just regurgitated information. So, the lead could have come from a stolen wallet. The lead could have come from, like the lead could come from those, forms to fill out, for win a free car, at the malls and stuff like that,
or trade shows or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't you run the risks too of being labeled a spammer?
Exactly. Yeah, very good, Anna. Yeah, absolutely. So when you purchase leads, it's just, and obviously it's enticing because you get these emails that'll say like, oh, we've got 25,000 leads interested in business coaching. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, great. and it's just it's a marketing technique to just get you to buy their leads. So I think it's are there reputable ones out there? Yes, but there's to be able to weed those out, and spend the time to weed those out. No, I don't think it's worth it at all.
Something else that came up actually as part of that LinkedIn opportunity, I got a message from. In fact, I got more than one message from people who were offering to do telemarketing, promoting whatever it is you or trying to find you leads and then selling you the leads.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness. I mean, I don't know of any. I've never heard anybody say they like getting those telemarketing calls. So why would anybody want to sign up for that service?
that yellow brick road might look shiny and you want to go kind of start walking down that yellow brick road, but you know what? It's only swept so far. And then it's just not going to be. All of a sudden it's dirty. It's a dirty trail that you don't know where you're going. So, make sure that you can see across that yellow brick road for a long time before you take the first foot forward.
Telemarketing is essentially cold calling. Years ago, way back, I wound up working for an outfit where I was a telemarketer, and they would give us lists that they called taps, supposedly people who had bought from different campaigns before. And it did seem to make it easier, but my experience of the telemarketing was about 1 out of 10, if we were lucky, would turn out to be somebody who would buy it. But we would be literally on the phone for hours and hours and hours and hours, calling and getting hung up on. You really have to have a thick hide to be able to do that.
No kidding.
And I don't recommend it. After that experience, it's like, thank you, but no. I mean, I want business, sure, but to do it that way, ooh, brutally hard work.
Not only are they not targeted specifically for what it is that you're trying to reach, but the demographic, by virtue of the fact that they're using a telephone, you're not reaching the cell phone audience, so chances are pretty good that your demographic is totally way off. So.
That's a good point.
This was back in the days before cell phones became prevalent. I'm talking about when I was about 23 or 24. So
yeah, back when they still used party lines, right?
Yeah, bingo. Bingo, I'd forgotten about that, but yeah, around those times, yes.
So, Lowell Ann, I understand I dropped in here late, and I had a look at your list. One thing I didn't see up there was using current clients as a ongoing sales or lead generation source by either referrals or by loyalty programs. So did I miss that? I mean, that's a whole area we could.
So in a kind of a way, it's almost. I had affiliate programs in there, and then I took it out because I didn't because I saw it as being kind of going the other way. But so you're saying referrals from current clients?
Yep.
Yeah. And that could be. I suppose I was thinking about that, or I included that in the sort of word of mouth sort of thing. But it's a good point. Referrals and introductions.
Yeah, I think it's important that people have a program in place to do that. Because it's a very it's a shortcut to people who actually might be interested in your service or product.
And so you're saying referrals and introductions, but you're saying sort of a program or a process to do that. So in other words, if I refer somebody, I get I don't know, I get some kind of a gift for having done it. Is that the idea?
That's a very good idea. and the success of that program is knowing your client. Loyalty programs have gone through many cycles, and the current successful ones deliver to the person who is either loyal or provides a referral something that is, I won't say unique, but pretty close to unique to that person. So if you give me a referral rather than give you a coffee card to Timmy's, for example, you may get a coffee card to Serious Coffee because I know that's where you go. Or you may get something, a spa visit, because I know that has greater value to you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. So I've added that to both sides of our equation here, because I think it belongs in both places. Yeah. Thank you, Paul. So, we've lost Anna. I wonder what happened to her. So I'm wondering. I'd like to go back to some of these pieces, and I'd like to ask you all, in your own business, like which of all of these things have you found to be the most beneficial?
Referral.
Referral.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, for the local marketing business, right?
Yeah.
That's worked out tremendously.
Yeah.
It's the snowball, it's the pebble that starts at the top of the hill, and it just snowballs. It's wonderful because people. Well, what I've also done within my funnel is, through the never-ending end of my funnel, I ask people, well, one, how did we do? And two, do you know anyone that could benefit our business, from the services that we provide? And it works wonders, and I get tons of referrals as a result of that. Now, not all of them convert to sales, but that's okay. It's a great series. It's a great funnel to get people in there,
So when we talk about referral, is that the same as word of mouth, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, referral is where your client is selling for you. Word of mouth is, I would say, you start. It's like the game telephones, where you start it, whereas referral is they start it. Word of mouth advertising is me telling you, hey, listen, I've got a new piece of software called Magi Reputation that can actually help you learn about what people are saying about your business online and mitigate any kind of negative feedback. If you know that anyone that could benefit from them, just let them know and get in contact with me, and then you hand your business card. That would be word of mouth advertising. Referral would be what you did at the beginning of the show, where you said, man, I love I love the software. I love Magi Tools. It's fantastic. Right, that's essentially a referral. So it's more like an endorsement, actually, probably. So.
I see. That's an endorsement. I see referral a little bit differently. So I stumble when I'm working with a client. I stumble on a need, and I know somebody that that I have a lot of confidence in, that I maybe used their service in some way. So I have to have a lot of trust and a lot of confidence for this to happen. But quite often what I do is I will introduce my client to that person via email. I usually do it by email. I put it all in one email and say, here is a person who's looking for this and this and this, and this is how you get a hold of her. And this is a person who, this other person provides this kind of service, and this is how you can connect with her, and I'll leave it up to you two now to carry forward. I've done that dozens and dozens of times. That's what I consider to be a referral, as opposed to an endorsement. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? No?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's like what Carlo said last week, where he sees a client having lunch with someone else, and he gets introduced to that person, and so there's that, it's like that person is vouching for them, so as a result of that, they're far more likely to use that person based on seeing them work with someone else, but absolutely, I mean, referral work is basically the completion of client A tells potential client B about about me, and it becomes kind of full circle, right, or full triangle.
Yeah.
Or you lose two friends at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think part of the arguments and complaints that I've heard about BNIs is that sometimes you're in a BNI organization and the person who provides that particular service is not the one that I would trust the most. And yet I'm expected to make a referral to that person rather than the person that I trust.
Yeah.
So trust and experience of the person's their value system, their authenticity, their honesty, and all of that goes a long way, doesn't it?
BNI sounds very, very pressured. It really does.
Well,
there sounds like a reason why that they've kind of diminished, right?
Yeah.
So.
I've been to a few BNI meetings, and you're expected to do the referral.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have any, it's like you're supposed to come up with something. The other thing is that you're expected to be there every single week, and if you aren't able to go, you have to have a stand-in. And I remember looking at these people and going, well, this is absolutely not going to work for me because I like to travel. Mm-hmm. And you would try to force me into a system of functioning in this way, and I don't function in this way.
Yeah.
And also, I thought it was pretty expensive too, and I thought, no, too many restrictive rules. Sorry.
Yeah.
It isn't going to work for me at all. And I just said, that's it. I'm out of here. Bye. Thanks for the idea. Doesn't work.
That's why I like Host. You can hang out and have great coffee, and hear some people speak.
Counts for a lot. I'd rather have the hanging out with great coffee with people I like, and than to be pushed into something that, I mean, I guess it's a good idea, but and it works very well for some people. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that it worked really well for flower shops, accountants and bookkeepers.
Right, yeah. Real estate advisors.
Yeah.
Financial advisors. Yeah.
There were certain occupations that it worked really well for. I was invited to go as a stand-in many times, and after observing and also speaking with other coaches, it certainly wasn't one of those occupations that BNI worked for.
Yeah. Yeah. There's only so many financial advisors and life coaches that can be collaborating together, right?
Well, but the problem with the coach piece was, for a long time it was mixed up and thought of in the same way as therapy.
Right.
And so people would never admit that they needed help. People just don't do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Speaking of help, I actually need to go and help a client. He's waiting. They're waiting for me. I do need to go. Great segue. Thanks.
Well, I want to hear more about this retargeting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. What I want to leave you with, though, is something that is we initially talked about quickly is the cost per sale, right? What does it cost? So when you're spending money in ads, right? So I just kind of created this quick calculation. So let's say you basically set up a campaign and it ended up costing you $1 a click. Okay, so $1 a click. And let's say you got 100 clicks. So that's $100 you spent. Okay. So $100 ad spend. Of those dollar per clicks, let's say 5 of those 100 clicks So you spent $100, 100 people have visited your site. Of those 100 people, 5 of them have purchased your product, which costs, sorry, no, let's say 2 people have purchased your product, which costs $20. So you've earned $40 and you've spent 100. Okay, does that make sense to everyone so far?
Yes.
Okay, so your cost per sale is $2.50.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll write this metric out in your in the comments area there in your community. Yeah. Does that sound fair?
Yes, that I think is a very, very useful thing for us to be able to figure out what is going to be worth doing.
Yeah, and the difference between a cost per lead and a cost per sale, right? Huge difference.
Yes, a big difference.
And when you add in a loyalty program, you can then add in the life cost of the customer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you're bringing the same customer back at a lower cost and for usually a higher value.
Yeah, so especially when you get into continuity programs, you know, where the product is a continuity where they're paying, you know, X amount per month, you know. Yep. So, you know, customer lifespan, you know, is you know, this average this month, right, or average this much money. So. But yeah, there's tons of metrics that we can, you know, people can get into in terms of, you know, lead acquisition and costs of that and break-even analysis and stuff. And I think it's really important to know that stuff. You know, I certainly walked into business not knowing anything about that stuff, and a lot of it is self-taught. You know, I didn't go to business school. You know, I went to computer school. I didn't, you know, so. A lot of it is self-taught, but I learned, you know, I absorbed it, and I've embraced all of these, you know, these numbers. And now I understand that it costs me, you know, this much amount to acquire a lead. It costs me this much amount per sale. So, you know, when it comes to advertising, I think it's really, really important to know that information when you step into the advertising world, because then you know what your metrics are.
So that leads me back to remembering what Paul recommended that we think about, or that he thinks about when he's looking at prospects, and that is, what is the value of your time? Knowing what that is, you got to know what that is.
Yeah, well, to me, I've already lost $100 this hour, so I've spent $100 collaborating.
Well, I really appreciate your spending.
I'm totally kidding. Yeah, absolutely. It was $100 very well spent.
I think you're undervaluating your time, Jay.
Oh, thank you, Paul. That's
true.
Anyway, like Jay, I've got a bitter patter, so ciao for this week, guys.
Bye,
thanks
Paul.
For coming, Paul, and thanks for coming, Jay.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
We're just about. We probably need to close pretty soon, but I wanted to check with Carlo, because he was the person who said talk about add landing pages. So was there anything in particular you wanted to add about landing pages, Carlo?
Yeah, the landing page gives you the opportunity to segment your offer, as opposed to the difference between a landing page and a web page. When someone goes if you're doing PPC or AdWords and you're bringing them to your web page, there's a tendency to say, now, why am I here? With a landing page, you have what's called the image or the hero shot, the offer as succinctly as possible, and the call to action, which is entering. You know, you talked about offering freebies. You offer content. You can download a PDF, or you can add your data. I use landing pages in conjunction with AdWords, and as I mentioned a few times, I only work with 6 to 8 people at a time. Sometimes I have 1 or 2 people at a wait list, which is a mutually agreed upon situation. Either they don't have the money, or I'm not ready to work with them. And when it's time, I call them beforehand and say, you know, we're good to go. You know, does it work for you? Fine. All right. If not, I run a very simple AdWords campaign, which I run it for 10 days at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And at the 10 days at a time, my cost will be the price of the AdWord. I'm sorry, the price of the call per action, not click or not impressions. And I invite you to go find the difference between them. So now, because you get people clicking just to be a village idiot, and it's costly, and you can refute that, right? So you have your AdWords. I run them for 10 days. I get maybe 7 bona fide responses. I will process those. I'll end up with 2 or 3 qualified leads and turn one of those into an action.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple process.
So what I'm hearing, though, is that you have that down to a science, like steps in a process.
Yeah, and the reason I did that is, with all due respect to blogging, unless you're prepared to outright your competitors day in and day out, you're just getting bogged down. And it's kind of, again, with respect, it's kind of post and pray. Gee, that's the best writing I ever heard since the Bible. Let me sign up with these people. Okay? And Google did that deliberately to create this competition so that they could get enough content out on the marketplace. They're the ones with the $50 billion.
Yes.
You and I are not. Okay, so the machine demands a sacrifice. So their other game is AdWords. Yes. And I invite each of you. You can do it for as little as 10 days at a time. It's an uphill learning curve, but you will find that your return on investment is far superior than to doing a lot of the other things that were mentioned today.
Certainly worth experimenting with.
Okay, you can do it so. Okay, here's what I offer my own clients. I'll run a 10-day campaign for them for $200, including setup and management.
Wow.
It's kind of a sample from the home office.
Right on.
All right, and so in doing that, you know I was in the Bahamas one time as a kid, and the croupier who had a watch worth more than my salary saw me playing the game, and he goes, "Hey, if you ever want to get serious, come on in." So, put the money down. So this is a Vegas town. It's pay to play.
Yes.
So what the risk the prospect has at that time is 10-day AdWords. They invest maybe $100 in their AdWords because the deal with Google is if you're a first timer, they will give you a coupon for $100. So after you spend $25, they'll give you a coupon. They'll give you the $100. So you can write on that. So then what happens is you take AdWords for a test drive, and then okay. When they see if the AdWords is set up right, when they see their progress through the control panel, because I share a control. You as a purveyor of these goods and services can manage the control panel for the client. They don't really have to do anything.
Right.
Just the portion where they insert their own credit card, and that's blinded to me as a manager of that account. And then they get a sense for what it's worth, and it works well for people looking to try into it. There are people that you think that they're only going to want to put a little bit of money into it, and then they start telling you, okay, well, I'll invest $1,000 a day. And so you have a greater opportunity for income doing that, either for your own business or for somebody else's business.
Somebody else's, yeah.
So I invite each of you to consider, it's Google's version of multi-level marketing is AdWords. It's the same as affiliate marketing.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's affiliate marketing, AdWords, multi-level marketing, they're all reinvented in a different way.
Yeah, right.
So they got half of the world selling the other half of the world AdWords. It's working. It's working.
I have to say though, I kind of like the targeting that Jay was mentioning about Facebook. Although
Okay.
before I could ever use Facebook, I need to learn a whole lot more.
Okay.
I posted a few things this week just to test out the reaction.
The deal with Facebook is either you're sucked into it or you hate it.
Yeah.
I, for one, only participate in Facebook because it's obligatory, in the sense that you can sign in with your Facebook account. If you're not on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, Google Plus, there's something wrong. What's wrong with this person? Now, remarketing is readily available in AdWords as well.
Mm-hmm.
But there are those people that think that remarketing is stalking. It's like,
yes.
Okay, why are these people following me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so anyway.
So there's Anna saying that she would like to chat with you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the time, and I have to drive to Sydney this afternoon or this morning.
Okay,
so,
just let me leave you with a thought. There is more information on the internet about AdWords than you could possibly consume. Go through Google. Subscribe to Google Partners Community. They're long on help. You just go ask for an invitation.
Yeah.
Use the heck out of YouTube, and you'd be surprised. And then you more or less do it for your own account, first time out, in a I call a build, test, fix theory.
Yes. Yeah, build, test, fix. I love it.
It's so true too. I've done that a little bit over the last while.
Oh dear. So Craig, what about you? You've been kind of quiet all this morning. Is there anything within the techniques that you've been using?
Mostly, I'm working with referrals, and I do some direct mail. Mostly I try and point out to people that my services can help, and just try and get on their radar. I'm working with local brick and mortar people, and like I said earlier, a lot of them are just totally not interested in being online, and so introducing them to the concept of online businesses.
Yeah. So and what you're saying really kind of makes sense, because if you've got a brick and mortar, I mean, they're not online, so you can't find them there. So you have to use some sort of a tangible thing to get their attention before you could even get there. Yeah.
Well, what I'm finding is that somebody 4 or 5 years ago sold them a website, and they think that's perfectly adequate. Well, their website's been hacked or or something, and they just have no clue that there's a problem. And so they figure, oh well, I got a website, and I got a guy.
Yeah, right. Well, and this whole local thing is becoming really it's becoming really important. I mean, we're all carrying a cell phone, almost all. And if you're trying to, who was I talking to yesterday? Somebody I talked to yesterday said, well, if I'm looking for something, I open up Google Maps, I type in shoemakers, and up pops the map with all the shoemakers that are there. And I mean, they're only there if they've got a Google business that's been verified.
Right.
So my goodness, if local businesses can't figure this out, they're going to get lost in the dust.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or they what a lot of them are still doing is they're just they're relying on previous customers, and they're working from word of mouth, and so they're doing business in an old-fashioned manner, and not taking advantage of the online opportunities.
Yeah. Well, my
Some
shoemaker, I got to
people-
tell you about. I found him. He's absolutely very expensive, but very skilled. Lives has a little shop. He does he operates from cash or checks only. He does not have an email. He does not have an online presence. He doesn't do any of that.
And he's happy.
Yeah, he is.
And his business is doing wonderfully.
Well, I don't know whether his business is doing wonderfully.
Well, think about this. If you're making, we'll say, $60,000 a year in cash versus $120,000 a year in invoices.
Yeah. But I mean, for a lot of small businesses, they are going to need to be found in some way, and I mean that's what all of this is all about, is to be found, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Let's use the tools that are available to get people in the door. Is basically what I'm all about. So.
Yeah. So I can see where when we are trying to work local, sometimes we need to use those offline things maybe in combination. So it's worthwhile to recognize that we don't just we can't just decide to go online for everybody. It's it's
there are a lot of people that are not technically savvy, and they don't care to be.
Yeah.
And small businesses, the little shops, they're busy trying to keep their place going. They don't have time to learn all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's an opportunity there for somebody that does know what they're doing to come in and hold their hand.
Yeah.
What the biggest competition I'm seeing is these people like web.com, where they come in, they say, yeah, I'll build you a custom site. Well, their custom site is some sort of a template that, I was looking at dentists the other day, and I got down to page 3, and there's 2 dentists ranked right next to each other, and you look at their site, and they're identical with the names changed.
Oh, wow. Great. Well, I see.
Oh, who created these? Oh, it turns out they were from the same vendor.
No kidding. So I see it's 20 after, and I need to be out of here very shortly.
All right.
So
well, have a nice drive to Sydney.
I thank you, both whoever's left, for participating. This whole lead generation thing is a huge issue for all of us, and I think it's going to be worthy of some more conversations about it, for sure.
No question about it.
Yeah. So thank you for participating, and I'm just going to say because I'm still broadcasting, I could have turned that off a minute ago, couldn't I? So for the benefit of those outside watching, thank you for watching, and please return to Being Your Own CEO next Tuesday at the same time. So bye for now, and happy business.